My name is Joe Reichert. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Saab Doctor. In this episode, we are going to be doing an oil change on a 9.3 Viggen. This will also apply to all OG 9.3, NG 900 with the 2.0 liter or 2.3 liter, 9.5 with the 2.3 liter. So you can pretty much use these exact same instructions for all those. Stay tuned. Make sure when you're doing this to either jack your car up and put it on jack stands or use ramps. I prefer jack stands. Always give it a little push test to make sure it doesn't move. So when it comes to doing oil change on these, for stock, you'd want to use either an original Saab filter, which is what I'm going to use on this car, and then you put in 4.1 quarts of oil. And otherwise, I'd use like a Wix, and this is a 51348. That's for stock oil fill, 4.1 quarts. If you want to add more oil, you can use a Wix 51515, and this actually makes it hold 5 quarts. So the reason I'm not going to be running this in here, this is my wife's car, it's pretty much stock. I just like to run a good OE Saab filter. So I get these from Saab parts. I will put the link to these filters in the description below. So we'll be putting that with 4.1 quarts in. Tools you'll need are a 13mm wrench and some type of oil filter wrench. Either a strap wrench will work or an actual oil filter pliers. I'll end up using this most likely because since we store them over winter, sometimes those seals just get a little bit stuck. So let's get underneath the car and drain the oil. But before we get underneath the car and drain the oil, undo the oil fill so that way the oil doesn't kind of chug on the way out. So let's jump underneath the car and drain out the oil. Okay, so this is the back of the engine facing the back of the car. That is the passenger's side, or when you're facing the back of the car, the right hand side. And I may have lost light. Okay, and I've actually moved the camera to the front of the car. So this is the front of the car. That is the passenger's or right-hand side. Slowly twist this off of here. I'm going to let that drain for a few minutes. So while that's all draining underneath there, we're going to take our Saab original filter out of the box. And then we're going to put a bit of oil around the O-ring so it will make a good seal. Make sure to use a high quality synthetic oil in a weight that's specified in the owner's manual. I am using 5W30, it's specified in the owner's manual. I don't have any oil pressure problems with this in any of our cars, so that's why I run it. And then make sure to just put an ample amount of oil around this seal. Alright, and that should be 100% good to go. Alright, and you're never going to actually get 100% of the oil out, so at this point, I'm going to put the filter on, tighten it till it's snug, so right now it's snug, and then give it about a 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn. Alright, that should be more than good enough for that. I'm not going to flip the camera around, but on this one I actually have a crush washer. Make sure that if you have a crush washer, that this crush washer is here. Otherwise, you should have a rubber seal around the edge, depending on what kind of plug you have. This is a factory plug, so it has a crush washer on it. And just put the plug back in. Just remember, you don't have to tighten these down super tight to make them seal. Just make sure that they're nice and snug. I always take it, snug it, and then just get a little bit more of a pull. Then one other thing I always do is I always wipe up everything just to make sure that, you know, there really isn't any residual oil, so I don't have any questions as to why there's oil in my driveway later. So yeah, at this point, just double check it. And we can go to the top side. We're all done down here. Okay, so at this point, we pull the dipstick out. Now, if you've never seen one of these dipsticks before, which I know some people haven't, what it is the oil cover with a dipstick on the end. You push down and give it a twist to get it out. So with this out, put the funnel in. And we're going to put 4 quarts in, then I'm going to lower the car down, start it, and pull the dipstick and see where we're at. Alright, so I'm going to kind of let the funnel drain down while I put the car back on the ground. Now to pick it up and lower it, there's actually, in the front radiator support, there's a dimple in the bottom. It's actually a factory lift point. If you look in WIS, it actually shows it as one of the factory lift points. So that's what I use when I jack up the front of these cars. Alright, and now that the funnel has had enough time to kind of drain down, pull the funnel out. Put the dipstick back in. And we'll start the car. Now I always let it run for about 10 seconds, then give it about 30 to 45 seconds, maybe a minute, for all the oil to drain back down from the head so I get an accurate reading. Okay, so now there's no oil on the dipstick right now, but I want to teach everyone how to read one of these. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the oil is between, there is a ridge portion here and a ridge portion here. You want to be somewhere in the middle of these two. If you're at the low end, it'll take about a quart to fill to the high end. If you're underneath here, if you just have oil on here, you want to at least get it up to here. So it's a quart from here to here. So I just make sure to, check your oil. That way you know how to read the dipstick. Alright, and I'm actually just a hair off of where I normally like the oil level to be in this one. So I'm just going to fill it up the rest of the way. It'll need about 1/10 of a quart at this point. I'm very much a perfectionist as to how much oil I put in our engines. It's potentially why our cars last as long as they do. I'm just very, very particular about, oil level, making sure that everything's right, making sure that everything's clean, clear, and good. Yep, and that is exactly where I want it. So just take it, put the cap back on. What I always do, I always look underneath quick to make sure nothing's leaking. Nope, nothing on the shop floor. Can close up the hood, and we're done with this one. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and Saab on, folks.